Monolito here again, and this will be the last one for today of the distillery tours. So this time, also in Dripping Springs, is Treaty Oak Distillery. So Treaty Oak was a really nice scenery. So when you get there, they have this huge compound, multiple buildings on the compound. They have a bar where which is strictly for mixed drinks, cocktails. You know, if you want to get single pours of their whiskeys and things like that. And then they had a trailer out there with a live band, had music. I mean, there were people all over the place. They served food there. They had separate facilities for restrooms, and then they had their distillery. So at the distillery is where they had the little shop with the stuff like glasses and bottles and or purchasing tickets for the tour. I got mine online. I pre-purchased them, but you could go there and purchase a ticket or purchase access to the tour. The tour was about an hour long. It was a pretty in-depth tour. They do not only gin, but they do whiskey as well. So they have one whiskey that they do that is grain to glass, and then they have two whiskeys that they do that are sourced. So they source the juice. The other one is complete grain to glass, and we'll talk about that. So when you get there, they serve you a drink, and so you get a choice between a cocktail or what I did. I just got their bourbon neat, and I think it was the Ghost Hill. The Ghost Hill bourbon is what I got neat. So they have Ghost Hill Texas bourbon, red-handed bourbon whiskey, and then red-handed rye whiskey. And so I do have all three of those. But the one difference is the rye. They were sold out on the rye at the distillery. So on the way home, I stopped off at Total Wine, and they happened to have it there, so I picked it up. So I've got all three of their whiskey versions, or their whiskey expressions. So I'm gonna go over some little notes because there's a lot of information here, which I like about Treaty Oak. Also, some of the other distilleries that I've gone to, they're pretty open about their mash bills and their processes and things like that. So there's a lot of transparency, so that's really good. Plus they make a good bourbon. So the first one is the Ghost Hill. So this one is their grain to glass bourbon whiskey. So, and they use a limestone. There's a limestone water source in Dripping Springs that they use. That's where they get their water. So this is 47.5 ABV or 95 proof, and the mash bill is 50% corn, 32% wheat, 11% barley. So it's Texas wheat, yellow #1 corn, and then the barley. And they, of course, it's aged in white American oak because it, in order to call it bourbon. And they age it for 2 years. This is the one that I did try while I was there. Actually, a very good bourbon. Had those normal vanilla, cinnamon type notes and brown sugar. It was in a plastic glass or a plastic cup. So again, it's going to be better once I open that and let it open up and pour that into a Glencairn glass. Another thing, or one thing about them that was a little disappointing, because since they do whiskey, is that they didn't have Glencairn glasses. So I did pick up their rocks glass. So this is their rocks glass, got their logo and their name on it. Sorry about the fingerprints there, but it's a nice looking little rocks glass. I may use it, but it's just, I don't know, kind of like a thing when I go to the distillery. I just have to get something from there, glass, and then of course some whiskey. They have, and I'll be showing some. On this one I have some good video and pictures. from this distillery. It's a really nice distillery. We got to see the rick house. They've got multiple pot stills, anywhere from 50 to 500 gallon size pot stills. They also have a column still. They have huge fermentation tanks. They have a nice size rick house, so we got to go in there. We got to ask a bunch of questions, and the tour guide was really knowledgeable, gave us a little history about the Treaty Oak Distillery and where the name comes from, things like that. And it's all on their website as well, so I'm not going to go in that great detail, so I'm trying to make it somewhat short video compared to others. So the second bourbon that they offer excuse me, is called the Red-Handed Bourbon Whiskey. So there's the Red-Handed. This one is also 95 proof, 47.5 ABV. So this one is, they do source two different bourbons. So one from Davis Valley Distillery in Virginia, and that is a 4-year-old bourbon. Mash bill is 66% corn, 14% rye, 20% barley, and then they blend that with a bourbon from Oz Tyler Distillery in Kentucky, which is aged for 2 years, and that's 70% corn, 21% rye, and 9% barley. And whatever water they use to proof it is coming from Dripping Springs, so it's that limestone filtered water from Dripping Springs. So I really like the fact that they're completely transparent on their website about the fact that this is not something that they produce, but it's something that they source, and they just basically finish it. And then the third one, and again, this is the one that I got, I didn't get at the distillery, this is the one that I got from Total Wine, and you can see, I'll hold up the bourbon next to it, but look at the color difference there. This one's more of a golden yellowish type color. Now we got more of a caramel brownish color here. But this is the Red-Handed Rye Whiskey, and this is a 10-year-old, so its age stated it's a 10-year-old whiskey. Now, the one thing they don't say about the sourced ones is whether coloring has been added and if it's been chill filtered, but their produced bourbon, so the Ghost Hill Texas bourbon, is non-chill filtered and it's natural coloring. So I would assume, because they said they purchased or they sourced the bourbon and the rye in barrels from the other locations, so I would imagine that's natural coloring because they themselves do not add coloring or chill filter. So I'm just going to assume that they're all non-chill filtered and there's no color added. So again, this is 10 years old. It's 100 proof, 50 ABV, and this comes from the Shenley Distillery. It's 39% corn, 53% rye, 8% barley. And if I remember correctly, I believe on the tour he said that was sourced from Canada. So it's a Canadian rye whiskey that they sourced, and then they just sell it as their own. And possibly proof it down, so it is 100 proof, 50% ABV. Another thing they say on here is that they partner with individual farmers in the Texas Panhandle who grow and harvest their #1 corn, so and their soft red winter wheat for making their bourbon, the Ghost Hill bourbon. So again, that and their gin, they do make gin as well. That is all grain to glass. So the Treaty Oak, or the Ghost Hill bourbon whiskey and their gin, grain to glass, and the Red-Handed rye and bourbon are sourced. That is a really good place to visit if you want to go to Treaty Oak, because it's more of it was almost like a party scene. We got there had to be a couple of hundred people there, not all there for the tour. They were just there. You could take your dogs. People had their dogs out there. They were playing catch with their dogs, kids playing ball catch with the football on the baseball, and they had live music going, drinks, and so it was a really cool and chill atmosphere. And then we did the tour, had a few tastings, and then bought our bottles and stuff, and then we went home. So it was a good time. Had a lot of fun on Saturday. I'm trying to do couple of distillery visits, you know, once a month until like the summer hits in Texas. When it starts getting, you know, triple digits in the summertime, I'll just wait until the fall to start hitting up some more distilleries. So I think I still have a couple months left where I can do some distillery tours, and you know, I'll post videos of it. If you have had the Treaty Oak, if you like it, don't like it, or you know, whatever the case is, hit me up in the comments. Just let me know if you've ever had it or not. So that's going to be it for now. You guys have a great night, great day, great rest of the weekend, whenever it is that you watch this. We'll see you next time. Cheers.